Welcome in to Calling the Audible. It is week 3. I'm your host, Mo Khan, this Tuesday edition, as we now move towards the conclusion of January and into February. And that's when the business end of this season starts picking up in terms of the number of games. And of course, the Super Bowl not too far away as well. On this episode of CTA, we have a lot to get to, a lot of guests to get to. We'll open up with Jerome Hovington to talk about Division 4. And then Zachary Albergale is one of our favorites now. We'll talk about Div 5A and B. And then we'll have on Manu Alaroy to talk about Div 3, recap that. And then we'll wrap it up with Iggy Magnets to talk about some 35 plus and women's as well. And then Iggy will have his show on Thursday, which he'll have Div 1, Div 2 with Dan Lazaro, Ralph Morelli, Brent Bach, and talk about Div 6. You name it, we'll have it covered this week here on Calling the Audible. So some things to get to before we move to the show. First and foremost, we're doing team pictures as we speak, so please bear with the scorekeepers who have to take these pictures. We like to do it at halftime of games. It's a lot easier then. Just keep in mind that we might have to do a retake a time or two because there are some times where the initial photo is blurry and we have to get that corrected. So please be patient and understand towards the scorekeepers with that. Secondly, uniforms now are in place. The uniform protocol rule is in place. What does that mean? You need to have a proper uniform. That means same team color as your teammate. So if you wear red, it should be red or close enough shade of red. And most importantly, though, it has to be a proper number on the uniform. So no taped and no marker numbers on your uniforms. They have to be proper, visible number on the front or back. That's ideal to have on the back, if not on the front, which is even better, to make it easier for the scorekeeper to identify who you are moving forward. And also keep this in mind, right? You need to get 5 games in to be playoff eligible. And some teams have played 3, if not 4 games, and are almost approaching the 5-game marker of their campaign. So as you move towards the end of January into February, please, and this is something that we always have at the end of every season, whether it's winter, spring, or fall cup even, please double check the games played on your team page with your roster. So I advise captains and players to go on your roster every week after you've played a game, the day after or the 2 days afterwards, and double check if he or she have the games played, because it gives us a window that if you find out Sunday you played Sunday and you find out Monday, hey, your guy wasn't given the game played, we can look it up right away and see if it was our fault or if the person didn't show up, whatever it is, right? So please take the time on a weekly basis, captains or players, to make sure that you're looking at your roster, because at the end of the season, once early April hits, we're going to have the same issue again about what's going to happen as well with this process going forward here. And finally, we do have flag belts. Those are now $10 moving forward. And also keep this in mind as well for the stadium, for the complexes that we play at. If you're the first window games and you know there is a minor association playing or practicing before us, please change in the locker room and then come out afterwards. This saves us the headache when it comes to parents who are not comfortable, and understandably so, about that. So again, please be aware of your surroundings if you're changing. If there's little kids practicing in front of you, it's advisable to go in the locker room and change as well. We'll be joined by Jerome Hovington in a minute or so here, but we'll definitely tee it up with them in terms of what we'll cover moving forward here. It'll be my first guest with Jerome Hovington, and for those who don't remember, in the road show that we had in the Fall Cup, Jerome had a little bit of a fumble, which we'll talk about with him as we cover Div 4 in this situation here, as we will welcome in Jerome Hovington into the show. Jerome, good afternoon, good evening, good morning. We have a little technical difficulty. We'll get him in a couple seconds here, as we had a fumble, so a bad snap from the Nightingale, Ali Reza, and trying to get Jerome Hovington on with us. We'll talk about Div 4 with him, a lot to get to in Div 4 and what's gone on so far this season. Some storylines to look at from 4A and 4B, which we look forward to breaking down with Jerome in the coming minutes here for this season. And I think, look, when you look at the division as a whole and how this has played out so far, I mean, again, it's a great season this year for 4A and 4B and how this has unfolded so far. And I think the key that I've really noticed so far with the 4A games I've watched up till now, the scorekeeper, and what has transpired in the season, is that There's some new teams. The LOE. This is a team that's 3-0. Born in the 80s. No one thought they'd be 2-0. LBB is 2-0. Then you have Balls Deep, still CRA. Big Fun, all creeping up the ladder at 2-1. And then, you got teams who are still playing on 2 games. And then even the West Island Boys at 1 game. So they're 0-1 right now, but they'll get their campaign going on as soon as possible. We'll now be joined by Jerome Hovington now. Nightingale, are we ready to roll with him, my friend? Excellent. Jerome Hovington, we had a bad snap to start off the show, but welcome into CTA, my friend.
Thank you, Mo. How have you been?
I am well. I see. Last week, Jerome, I was under the weather. I was sick as a dog, and I still did the show. Imagine if Iggy was in my position. Iggy would have called in sick for like 5 weeks and said, "I can't do the show. I can't do the show."
For sure, he's always got excuses.
Iggy has excuses, right? Like, if you know with Iggy, right, and you know him very well, you play with him and you played against him and stuff. Like he'll diagram like a play. If it doesn't work, he'll have like a 500-word essay on why it didn't work. So so it's what it is with our guy Iggy Magnus, though. But Jerome, let's talk about 4A and 4B with you. First and foremost, you are an excellent wide receiver. Would you agree with that point?
I'd say I'm okay. No,
I think you're excellent, Jerome.
Yeah.
Have you ever
I've been doing okay.
Have you ever lined up across from a DB and you say to yourself, "This is going to be a 7-catch, 120-yard, 2-touchdown day"?
It depends who my QB is, but usually I know when I'm gonna have a good game. There's just some days that everything's going well, everything's clicking, and I've had my fair share of big games so far in my FPF career, and I was always I was always confident in those games.
Now, do you remember your best ever game in FPF stats wise?
I'm pretty sure I had a game with 160 yards, 4 TDs against who was it? Baldi Dunsik.
Really?
Was it last fall? Yeah.
And they got some football athletes in that team, right? So it's a pretty. Was that scorekeeper that game? I don't know if I was or not.
I think you were actually, yeah.
See, that's why the numbers are accurate, Jerome. I do it for the best players out there, my friend. That's how we roll out here. Let's dive into it, Jerome. With 4A, at 3-0, are you buying into LOE start as maybe a top 4 team in 4A?
I'm gonna one-up you there. I think they're the favorites at this point. Based off basically Chris Vero being the best QB by a margin, a big margin. I think he's at almost 90% completion. He hasn't thrown a pick yet. Doesn't really get sacked. And not only that, but the roster is really good as well. Kevin Malonga, very big end zone threat. I think he's got 7 TDs. And also they have two very good defenders in Oumar Touré and Xavier Sauvé, as I talked with Iggy last week. They already have 5 and 4 picks respectively in 4 games. I think this team is all around dominant. They have a great QB, and I think I don't know if I can see another team beating them.
So, do they have a better offense or better defense? Because they have the highest points for and the least amount of points given up so far, albeit though some teams have only played 1 game this season.
I think their offense is better at this point because it's just almost unprecedented how good Chris Vero has been, but their defense is elite as well.
So you had them as the best team. I had them as a top 4 team right now in this division. I'm looking at West Island Boys. I know they've played 1 game, Jerome, so far. They're 0-1. But I would imagine they're a team that might be in that conversation to perhaps give them, if it ends up being this team in the final or making a deep run, to give them their toughest test if they do meet up at some point, whether it's now or in the playoffs. Oh, I think we have a little technical difficulty with Jerome. Can you hear us now, Jerome?
Yeah, okay, I'm back. Yeah,
there you go. So I was saying West Island
connection isn't great.
Yeah, no worries. It's the Iggy connection right there, the Wi-Fi. But I was saying for the West Island Boys, could they get the toughest test to COE, and that maybe they are the two teams that might go the deepest in 4A?
Obviously, when we talk about West Island boys, the first name that comes to mind is Zach Stacy, and I think he's obviously close to Vero, and that in terms of efficiency and being able to win games. So obviously, yes, I believe that West Island boys are probably the best team to challenge les Otaries Extrêmes. Then again, they lost Nick DiMalo, which is a huge piece. So now you have to rely more on Skylar Bailiff, and now you have obviously John McLaren Thompson, who's a good second option. But losing DiMalo is huge, and I think that's why I prefer les Otaries Extrêmes at this point.
So let's say Nick DiMalo was available. Do you put them higher as your best team, West Island boys?
Oh, boy.
Oh, you can hear us now, Jerome? Oh,
yep, I lost you again. Sorry.
No worries. No worries at all, Jerome. As they say, Nick DiMalo, if he was involved, would you have him as the best team in 4A?
Who?
With Nick DiMalo.
With Nick DiMalo, I think it's pretty close, but I'd still have les Otaries Extrêmes, honestly.
Fair enough. Oriella Poirier, an up-and-coming receiver. And what Oriella Poirier has done this year is remarkable. He's off to a great start, leads the league in yards and touchdowns. In your mind right now, is he more likely to hit 1,000 receiving yards or 24 touchdowns?
Both are incredible feats, which I think are both highly unlikely, just because it hasn't really been done in FPF. But I think the TDs are a bit more realistic. 1,000 yards it's got to be. You have to average 100 yards per game, which is just when you have to play shorter fields at times.
Right, but he's under 300 yards per game, like under 300 total yards right now through 3 games. So he's at 100 yards almost per clip here, Jerome.
Yeah, obviously, but smaller sample size over the course of a season, it's hard to maintain that. Although touchdowns like he needs 17 and 7. That's more realistic, in my opinion.
Right. I'll say this about Oriola. I think he is scratching the surface as a receiver in this league. I know he plays tackle with Concordia University, but we'll get Jerome back in a couple of seconds here. We have a bit of a technical issue with them. I'll speak a point about Oriola Poirier. I think he is a guy that, if he continues to ascend in the hierarchy of the FPF world in this ecosystem of ours, he could end up being one of the best receivers in this league. And I'm not saying he's Pat Jerome level of 20,000 receiving yards. That's going to be impossible to reach, especially with his commitment to football that he has and maybe the potential playing pro ball down the road. But Oriella Poirier has great skill sets that can make him a dynamic player for years to come. I think he could hit 1,000. If he continues to go 100 yards plus per game, he'll hit it for sure. He's on that clip right now. So I think he could be on his way towards that number down the road. We'll be joined by Jerome Hoventon, hopefully in the coming seconds here. The Night and Gill working on that behind the scenes as we get Jerome back. Jerome, this Wi-Fi is almost like your week 1 win against that opponent that you had in Brossard.
I went to 5G.
Well, you're on 2G the entire time? What's going on here, Jerome?
I don't know. The Wi-Fi is just not cooperating at the moment, so I gave up.
I'll just say about Oriella Poirier, I think he's got great potential, Jerome, to be one of the best receivers if he's going to be in this league for a long period of time. And I think if he does do so, I think he can have a fabulous career where he can hit some pretty big numbers in this world of FPF.
Obviously, he's playing for Concordia as a receiver right now. I don't know if he has hopes of maybe going further, playing more after his university career, but yeah, he's got all the tools. Honestly, the ball skills, the athleticism. He's got some good height, and I've seen that firsthand playing with him on Diamond Bougie, and
right.
Honestly, he's got a lot of potential. We were really happy when we got him on Div 3.
Deep balls, how do you view this team? Are they sort of that I want to wait and see, or do you think they can be a challenger in this division?
I think they're pretty average. Not to say that they're a bad team. I just don't know if I trust Justin Weir to be as consistent. He has been a bit streaky and he throws a lot of well, deep balls, which is he only has 51 attempts through 3 games, which is not a lot. 10.2 yards per completion. Obviously, when you're throwing it that deep, you're taking more risk, and we know how valuable interceptions are in FBF.
Right.
You also get sacked a lot, which can just kill a drive at one point. He's done a great job though defensively, with 3 picks on defense, but I don't know if there are any other very talented defensive players on that team. So if he has a bad game, it could go south really quick.
He's got Matthew Peacock, a big part as a receiver. But I think we'll know, like, their schedule's a little bit soft right now, Jerome. But I think the final 2 games against West Island Boys and Idaho Ute Pimps are going to be the 2 teams to watch out for. I think backfield penetration might give them a run, but they could run the table and get to 6-7 wins before their 8th and 9th and 10th games of the season. So I'm taking a wait and see with them for now, but I think they have potential to be in that middle pack going forward here. Nomads, a team led by Justin Lavallee, Tony Corey, J.R. Verger. Do they go as far as either Justin Lavallee or is it J.R. Verger that will carry them to success?
Obviously, it's harder to carry a team as a wide receiver, but Verger is really talented. He's been in FPF for so long, and he has a lot of experience. Great receiver. He hasn't played a lot in the past few years and hasn't been as dominant as he perhaps once was. Perhaps age has taken a bit of a toll there, but Lavallee is a really good QB. He's had some great seasons. First game he was very good. Obviously took his team over the hump against the Bet Boost Ballers, but then he comes in game number 2 and he struggles a lot. He throws 3 picks. He only gets 2 touchdowns. His team loses. Well, technically they're going to win because Jack Zergiotis was throwing for Jesus, what's their name? I forgot.
Nomads, you're talking about
Smitty Bacall Gang. Yeah, Smitty Bacall Gang. As Zergiotis throwing, and they're going to get the loss. So Nomads move to 2-0. But
right.
Lavallee will have to be more consistent, and obviously we know he can have a great game, but we also know he can have some tough games. And
on to 4B, Jerome. When you look at the 2-1 teams, you got Team Sexy, Renard, Vif, and I'm forgetting the third team right now off my head because I put Team Sexy twice in this list here. But the 2-1 teams right now, who do you have as the best of the 2-1 teams going towards the end of January?
This is a very interesting question because all 3 teams are at a very similar level. So it's a hard question. You have a bit of evidence. Killrays has beaten Renard Vif 42-34. Renard Vif did beat Team Sexy 33-30. I'm gonna go for number 1 with Renard Vif, despite the loss to Killrays, because I just trust Jacob Salvay more than the 2 other quarterbacks.
He's won the Spring Cup as well during the spring season.
Obviously, and he only threw 1 pick in that season, and I think it was 35 touchdowns. He's really good. He's a double threat. He can run the ball. The only thing with Renard Vif is they have a very big roster, which might hurt him down the line.
Right.
But I think that's the team I would pick for number 1. For number 2, I would go with Killrays, based on the fact that Tyler Bianchi and Tyler Gerberg, of course, have a great connection. We know all about Gerberg and his immense number of targets. But Killrays also have Curtis Ryan and Aiden Larivière, which is a really, really good supporting cast. I'm not putting them first despite them beating Renard Vif because I know that firsthand from playing Bianchi a couple times, I know that there are some things that defenses can do to limit his offense.
Sorry, go ahead. And lastly, team
Yeah,
sexy.
Team Sexy at number 3, based mostly on Benjamin Berbrier. I don't love the way he throws the ball. I think he's really solid, but maybe against a more athletic defense is going to struggle. But they do have some two great studs in Sam Anastasopoulos and Andrew Steinberg.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Team Sexy is probably a year away from being legit. I think Killer Rays, that's my team. They're on a vengeance tour because of what happened last year. They didn't play well in the spring season and that. So I think they're going to be the team to watch out for. Renard Biff, they're fascinating. I think they're going to be okay. But I think those three teams are going to be a factor towards the end of the season. Fourth and Schlong, have they been unlucky or are they a legit 0-2 team because they've had two very close losses so far?
Yeah, I mean, it's a decent team. Obviously, the differential is encouraging. It's also interesting that they have George Koutsoukous at QB instead of Justin Lerner, despite him being on the squad. But he's done well. I think their biggest issue is going to be the defense. As we saw, they got ran over by those two offenses in their past 2 games. I don't see them necessarily as a bottom feeding team, but they will. I think they'll definitely end up below 500, probably 3-7 or 4-6.
Okay, and finally, which Div 4 QB, which 4B QB would you build your roster right now? Because there's some young ones in this division that could have a potential flourishing career. So is there a quarterback you're looking at that could be a franchise FPF player for the next decade in this league?
Obviously, the past has shown that should be Jacob Salvay. Obviously, he's very dynamic. He has great decision making. The only thing I don't love with him is that he has a bit of a lack of height, which might hurt him when it comes to moving up divisions. I tend to think that mobile QBs kind of lose a bit of effectiveness when they move up divisions. So if I go more in that mindset of the potential, like if I see a QB going maybe Div 2, Div 3, perhaps even Div 1, I'd go with either Bianchi or Justin Gauthier. They're more modeled like usual quarterbacks than we see in higher divisions with great balls, great instincts, and a bit more height. There's also Noah Sominadan, who's another great shout, very, very young. He's obviously a bit inexperienced. He gets sacked a lot, but he has a lot of potential.
All right, Jerome, thank you so much for joining with us, man. What do we have lined up for you when it comes to the Div 4A and 4B coverage this week, my friend?
I haven't thought about it yet, but I'll try to find something interesting.
Let's work on the Wi-Fi first. Let's get the 5G going, then we can work on something interesting like that.
Yes, for sure.
I appreciate it, my dude. I look forward to conversing with you during the season, man. You're one of the good ones in this league. Can't wait. I love your intensity, and I can't wait for you to bring it some more when we have these future conversations down the road, my friend. Thank you so much.
For sure. Thank you, Mo. Have a wonderful rest of the podcast.
Take care, my dude. We'll be on 5G on this podcast. That's for sure.
Hell yeah.
Take care, Jerome.
You too.
That's Jerome Hoventon, covering 4A and 4B. Let's dive into it now. Let's get our next guest. He's been on the on-deck circle for a last minute or two, and I don't want him to sack me in the open fields of FPF. Our man covering 5A and 5B, Zachary Alberts Gills. Zach, how you been, brother? Oh,
no.
Yes, Zach, can you hear us, my friend? How you been, brother?
I've been good. Can you hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear, my dude. How you been?
Good. Pretty good. How you been, Mo?
I am well. I know last week we had the spreadsheet discovery that you watch, you track how many sacks you get. Do you know? I was going to ask you. Do you know, in your career, it's been what now, over a decade, right?
Yeah, since 2016.
Right. So we're approaching a decade, about 7-8 years, whatever it is. Do you know which quarterback you sacked the most in your FPF career?
Oh no, I don't. I wish I did. I'll give a shout out to who did I play? What's his name? I played against him yesterday. No, on Saturday. Oh my God, it's gonna haunt
that quarterback. Yes.
Yeah, that guy. You all know him. It's that guy. He runs around. Shout out to him.
So you don't know. Like I thought you would have known. Like
like honestly, I played in so many divisions, so many different teams. I've seen so many different quarterbacks that there are a few I recognize. There are a few I know I'm going to have a couple sacks that game, but they're
right.
going to get by me. But I couldn't tell you how many and who's the most.
The easiest quarterback you sacked is who?
Easiest. Oh, it had to have been like the guy. Actually, the easiest quarterback I sacked was in a Div C game, I believe, or a Div C or Div A. And for like the ref was just calling those sacks just so quickly. The guy was trying to throw them for incomplete passes, and the ref was just awarding them to me. I think I got like 5 or 7 in that game. I was very thankful.
You don't know the name of the quarterback. You're just trying to put him MIA.
Mo, I gotta make more revelations every time I come out here. I remember numbers. All right, Mo. If you're a quarterback, you're just a number for how many times you get sacked per year, how many rushes you do, how many yards you get, and how fast I have to run.
I feel like you'd be one of those type of guys that would have like a log cabin, and you know when you go to like those chalets and they have those animal heads on the walls of the fireplace. I think you would be the one that would have like the player's head or the player's uniform on your man cave.
There you go. If I get 3 or more sacks, you get to be on my wall.
Of course. Let's dive into it, Zach. Of the 0-2 teams in 5A, who can rebound from their start? A Squad, Ski, Vice City, Super Troopers, or Vultures, who are all 0-2 at this point in the season.
Yeah, I really appreciate the pronunciation of ski because I didn't really know how to do that and what that was.
You got to listen to the song, man. It's hot, man. It was hot last.
It's a song.
Yeah, it's a song. Yeah.
I'm young in present, but I'm old at heart, Mo.
That's right.
So I would say, well, listen, I'm gonna always bank on my own team. Super Troopers is the way to go. Like we're gonna bounce back. There's been a rough start coming out the gates. But I think we're definitely going to come back. But if I had to give an unbiased opinion, I really like Vultures, to be honest. I looked at their first game. I think it was a forfeit because one of their players busted the cap or something like that. I don't know. This weird. Anyway, I think if you looked at their score, they actually won that game before their forfeit. They got like 8 picks or something like that. It was crazy. They lost by 1 point to Ducks. Which was a team that just beat the Thunder buddies that I wasn't sure that they were going to beat. And so, like, listen, when you got Ben McMahon, apparently I just call them out like his brother or something, Austin McMahon. There's a Gary McMahon on the team. Like, it's just like WWE right now, right? The McMahons are coming in. I'm just waiting for a total takeover.
Well, you know what? Raw's going to Netflix now, man. Maybe this show going to Netflix. You know,
man, Mo, you're coming down with all this hot gossip.
I have to, man. It came down this morning. They signed a deal for next winter, 2025. They're going to Netflix. So maybe we'll go Netflix, man. We'll do like a show with you and I. We'll go on Netflix here. Let's take my Vultures. I think they're gonna be okay. I think they'll find their way through.
Mm-hmm.
Ben is I think he's really evolved as a quarterback, and I think he'll be okay. I'm just worried about A Squad. If maybe they're punching a little bit above their weight class for where they are in the season. This is an old school team, right? This is a team that's played for many years before that. I think you guys be okay. I'm not worried about you guys. You guys always put on a run towards the middle part of the season. Ski and Vice City. We got to figure it out. Like I think that's TBD right now. But here's the thing: because the schedule's so stretched out or so condensed for certain teams. Like there's teams that might play like 5 games before the Super Bowl bye week in 2 weeks.
It's crazy. I mean, some of them have 3-week breaks.
Really, man. Like it's tough credit to kind of clear off your debt, and if you're trying to get back to that playoff race going towards the end of February.
Yeah, first I thought it would be the worst thing to have your bye weeks at the beginning because then all the teams got a couple practice rounds in. You were slow off the start, but I actually think having that break in the middle. If you've got a couple bye weeks smack dab in the middle of the season, like it's going to be hard to recover when all these teams start getting on streaks coming towards the end.
Right. Quarterback play, Marty Freeman, the Marty Party. Could he take the next step in his quarterback development?
Yeah, like I mean, what do you mean by that? Are you talking about like can he do better, or are you saying
is he a guy that you circle on your data sheet as a pass rusher that? Yeah, this guy has the tangibles, the tools to be a good quarterback that can pass for 30 plus touchdowns, throw for over 1,500 yards per season and get the wins for his team?
Well, looking at stats when I was writing up for his team, I think they were one of the reviews I did in week 1. I was looking through, I was like, oh, no, not at all. And then I see just this one blimp of a season recently that has like just 37 touchdowns. And I think 12 interceptions, but it had like over 1,000 yards. I think it was 4 Hail Marys. It must have been. But the point being is he's already almost hit 300 yards in 2 games. He got 7 TDs. He's not running that much, but he's only been sacked once. But I don't like the interceptions. 2 a game, I think, is a little bit much if you want to pull away from games.
Right. Le Petit Carottes, are they maybe the Detroit Lions of this division?
Detroit Lions. You know what? I think they've only played 1 game, but I really like them. I like the name for some reason. It sticks with me. But I think I even circled them back on my sheet when I write up questions for myself when I do my articles. Check in like game 4, because I think they have people, like they have good teams coming up. I think their next team is Strapaholics.
It's a good team.
Good. Oh my gosh, I just got whooped by them like last night, and it was not pretty. Matt Kerouac 3 sacks on Kenny Boutillier, who was hurt, unfortunately got hurt. But fun game, great bunch of guys, but super athletic and like willing to put their body on the line. So if they can come away with a win, then I got you, Mo. Detroit Lions. But
they could be the Lions. I don't think they're biting kneecaps. I don't think they're doing that. Right? They're not one of the classic Dan Campbell line: punches in the mouth. We'll get up. We'll have no teeth. We'll still punch you back. Like, not that type of.
No.
But they have, like, this team. They're a bunch of former Champlain guys. They've been together for a couple of years now in this league. I think they have a chance to kind of be under the radar and maybe be a 6-win team after maybe it's all said and done for them this season.
A 6-win team? Yeah. Why not?
Yeah, I'll go with that, though, On 5B, Zach. Surprised that there are 6 undefeated teams at this point of the regular season. I know it's early, but there's some teams who played 3, if not 4 games already.
Yeah. I couldn't predict this. I was not expecting this. I'm really bad at my predictions, turns out, as I write my articles, but I definitely could not have predicted this. 3 of the teams have only played 2 games, like Win Diesel, Shea Benny Express, Maccabees. And I think if I looked at their schedule, like Win Diesel's playing Brewers, I think Win Diesel's is going to win that one. The other 2 were a little bit more difficult for me to call just off eye, but like even 4 or 5 teams undefeated at the beginning of the season is crazy. I think they'd be able to keep it up. I think most of them have it in them for at least 2 to 3 more weeks, maybe 4, and then I think that's when we're going to see the split. I think we got some undefeated teams for a while.
Yeah, I think unfortunately for Maccabees, they had a forfeit win last week. The team went to the other field in Laval instead of there. And I was there because I had to kind of sort out the whole mess.
Dude,
that happened, unfortunately. It was unfortunate for that to happen. But Maccabees, they were there last winter, and they went to overtime in their playoff loss, I think it was. I remember they were in the playoff losses stuff. But I think it'll be okay. I think Maccabees will when the dust settles, I think Maccabees can be 7-3. And I think I think the undefeated talk will shrink, from 6 to whatever it is, Zach. But I think we get to undefeated probably by weeks 10, 11, 12. But I don't think there'll be any undefeateds left. I think there'll be one lost team, but I don't think there'll be any undefeateds though.
You're saying by week 12, no undefeated teams?
Yeah. Because I think this division is a lot closer than we expect.
I do, which is why I think we'll have 1 or 2. I really think Win Diesel has it in them now. Like, I checked out their schedule last week. Yeah. I think they have it in them to be undefeated by week 12. And I'd like Ramphins to surprise me with just being able to speed through to the end.
Well, you know why I like Ramphins, right? Best logo.
I'm with you, Mo. I haven't looked it up, but I told them, I'm with them because you're with them. A logo's a logo. I like
Best logo. Ask Iggy about that. He despises their logo. Iggy's no fun when it comes to this stuff here. Look, 0-4 right now, Vengeance. Are they in trouble? Because they're now 2 games back for the last playoff spot. I know it's funny we talk about playoffs and all this here,
Mhm.
but they are 0-4, and we talk about teams playing 5 games before the break. Are they in trouble?
In trouble, I think they can pull it out. I looked at their team. I really think I thought they were going to win a couple games and they didn't. I still think they can muster out maybe 2 or 3. I'd like to give them 4 wins, but even if it's 2, I don't know if it's enough to get them out of the red zone. But really, it's just the fact that they have 6 games left to play in 11 weeks. Like
They're 2 games
that's
back.
like that's 1 game every 2 weeks, if that, or whatever. If you don't have breaks, like that might just be spread out really weird. That's what I'd be worried, how their schedule messes them over, and I don't know if they're going to actually make it out of the red zone, but I hope they do.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough, man. I was looking at it, I said, "My God," because again, the imbalanced schedule of games being played
Yeah,
in robust numbers early on in the season has hurt, and this team might unfortunately be caught by the fact that they might run out of racetrack when it's all done for their season.
it
So
doesn't help when you're letting 25 points a game, right? Like that they're at 107 points against, which
yeah,
would be okay if you could score 20 points a game, but
right.
I think they're a little low on that as well. So
On the flip side, are you buying Toon Squad?
Mo, you don't even have to sell me on Toon Squad. I love Looney Tunes. I'm absolutely in for Toon Squad. They are in part my, even though it didn't pan out, my saviors. I think in the FPF Cup, they knocked out Cookie Monsters in the double eliminations. I lost to Cookie Monsters in the top tier bracket, came down, and was going to have to face Cookie Monsters, I think, and Toon Squad kicked them out. And yeah, I don't like rushing against, I can't remember the name. I never remember names. Sorry, people. You're just numbers. But Diamond Bougie, Cookie Monster quarterback, the Diamond Bougie receiver guy, super awesome.
Was it Jerome Homington or was it Manuel Lavoie?
Ooh, I don't think it was.
I
I'm gonna
forget,
say
man.
Jerome. It wasn't any of those
Yeah, it's
people.
been so long, man, since I did
It's
that. Here, I think Toon
good try.
Squad. I think this is their year. I think this is Toon
I like
Squad's
it.
year to make a deep run. I think they go Final Four.
Final Four.
I think so. Yeah.
I think you know what? I think so too. Like coming out as good as they have, I don't see why they wouldn't.
Yeah. I got the Final Four. I think they can definitely make a run for that. Look, we
Who
know
do you think the
you're.
Final Four is, Mo? Who do you think the Final Four is? Oh, Felix Boutet. Sorry.
Oh, Felix Boutet. Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Felix
Yeah.
Boutet. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? As I get the division up here, because I had the wrong division. Talking to you, by the way.
Nice. Nice.
That's the Cosmo Pro that I am, having the wrong division up. I'm so used to Eagle doing this stuff for me. Eagle does so much for us. If I had to lay it out right now for the Final Four, look, I think Rathmans are in there, Toon Squad are in there, Win Diesel will be in there, and I got Maccabees. I think Maccabees are going to sneak in there in the Final Four. Yeah, I really do. I really think so. I really think that's going to be something to watch out for moving towards the remainder of the season. Is Maccabees being a factor in the season? So I like them a lot, man. I really do. I really do.
I like it. I like it.
Look,
yeah.
Yeah, look, it's early though, right? Like it's only January. Playoffs are only mid-April. We're 3 months away, but as stupid as it sounds, though, Zach, it could change. It could change.
Yeah.
Look at the Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles completely
don't
collapsed.
remind me, Mo.
I know.
It hurts.
I know.
So
speaking of hurting, pass rushing. It's so rare. It's not often. I'm not saying it's rare, but it's not rare. But it's not often that a pass rusher can win Player of the Year, or Defense Player of the Year. But in 5B, Yannick Graham already has 6 sacks through 3 games. If you prorate that, he's on a pace for 20. Do you think he's the early leader for DPOY?
Ooh, I like it. Listen, the hardest thing every season for me is clicking that defensive player stat page and having to be like, oh, look how many stats I got. That's great. And then seeing someone with like 5 interceptions and being like, that could be more than enough to beat out all of my sacks, right? Like It's a painful process, but 20 sacks, like when you hit those double digits, That's when people, I think, start looking at you. When you get a 10 plus, you're in a contention, I think, if you can get a couple PDs with that, a good couple tackles. As soon as you hit the 15 plus, I think you definitely should be in talks. Like, that's a lot of play stop, and 20 should be, in my opinion, you should almost be guaranteed.
Zach, I just think that the pass rusher is not respected when it comes to awards, though.
I can't, Mo. I can't say anything about FPF awards. I have too many of them as a rusher to say they
I can
don't
see his
award
blind
me
in your
enough.
mirror in the background. That's
But I would agree that rushers are, as I play the game more and more, in some parts more important than a quarterback, right? Like, if you can get a bad quarterback and get a couple passes completed, great. If you get a great rusher that makes the quarterback scared every single play and he doesn't get anything off, you don't have to do anything.
Fair enough. Before we let you go, Zach, what do you have lined up for 5A and 5B for this week's article, my friend?
Ooh, boy. Well, last week I talked about triples somewhere, so I guess this week I'll talk about quadruples. I love the Ninja Turtles, so shout out to them, and some articles coming out soon. I'm going to go write them right now.
All right, my dude. Let's go remember who you sacked the most, and we'll talk about that next time.
Okay, I'll bring it next week.
Yes, sir, my dude. All right, my man. Have a great week. Thanks so much,
Enjoy.
Zach.
Thanks, Mo.
Zachary Albert Skill on with us, 5A, 5B, recapping that with them. Always look forward to reading his article. Great dude overall, great teammates. And he's a really cool dude. And I always enjoyed conversing with them. Nice guy. And go read his article for 5A and 5B, as it's a really good stuff to look at as well. We're going to be joined by Manu Alaroir in the coming seconds here. As Manu Alaroir is going to be on with us to talk about Div 3. We'll ask him what shampoo he used this week. Manu, can you hear us, my friend? How you been, my dude?
Doing good. How about you, Mo?
I'm well. I wanted to ask you, what conditioner do you use, man, for your lovely Vidal Sassoon hair that you have going on there?
Head and Shoulders, baby.
You know what? I'm going to use that as your nickname on a broadcast.
I love it. I love it.
Like when you moss somebody, I'll be like, Alaroir was head and shoulders above for the touchdown.
I like that. I really like that.
But by the way, how far do I have to go into your house to find something that's FPF related?
It would have to be right there. I have my shoes just there, so right when we enter, you see my shoes. They're there.
Okay, are you going to retire the cleats, or are they going to be used for another year, another season or two?
Oh, no. They're still good because they're broken and they fit well now.
Yeah, fair enough. So when you have a good shoe that fits your feet, you don't let them go. That's for sure.
Exactly. It's the lucky shoes.
No question. Let's dive into Div 3, Manu.
Yes.
Group D. It's starting to shape up here, because you're in this division as well. Group D is starting to shape up. How many wins will it take to win this division? Because you got triple Bs at 3-0. You got lightweight at 2-0. You got backyard bullies at 2-1, and that one loss came against lightweight on a 1-point game. And you got you guys at 1-0 and about to play your schedule. So is 7 going to be enough to win this division?
Man, I think no. I think it's going to take 9 wins to win the division.
Really?
Yep. I think the team that's going to finish first is going to only have 1 loss, and it's going to come down to this because it's a heavy hitters division. When you look at it, you got the Beer Belly Brigade, who started off 3-0, really impressive wins over Kiss My In-Laws, Air Force One. Then you got Backyard Bullies. They're always going to be in the mix. And lightweight, didn't see them play yet this season, but I'm really interested in how they're going to fare out for the rest of the season.
I don't know if 9's going to be reached, Manu, because I look at it this way. I know you got Jerome Hovington and your team's loaded, and I think each team has a playmaker. I don't know if I think 8 should be more than enough. I think 8, if everyone's at 8 wins, which I think is going to be possible, but if it ends up being 8 wins, I think that's more likely than 9. I think 7 might be the cutoff, but I just don't know if 9 can be attained, given how that group, that division, there are some big names that could very well be in the finals in the first weekend of May.
No, 100%. But I'm confident that one team is gonna reach 9 wins. I don't know which team is it. I won't tell you.
You're saying that they're head and shoulders above the competition then?
That they're yeah, I could say that.
Very well then. I think we know the initials to that team's name. Triple B's.
Exactly. Alex Lafort.
Mel's Angels. How intrigued are
Yeah.
you by this team? This roster with Jimmy Lee Janvier and AJ Gomez and a couple other guys. They got some decent names in this roster. I know they got wrecked the first game, but they could make some noise in Div 3 this season.
100%. I feel like the roster shows up for the games because I think they were missing a couple players earlier in the year. But if you got AJ out there playing, I think he's going to play quarterback. He can make some magic happen. We know how AJ is. He's the top player in FPF as receiver defender, but he's getting there as a QB. He had a little experience in Tier 1 during the fall. So I think if he can get going and really show up to the game and take it seriously, take it like a Div 1 game, I think this team can do some damage. But I don't know if I see them finishing in the top of their group.
Well, here's the thing, right? I mean, they're on one, so they're just starting off their campaign. I think in that group, as you can see on the screen of yours, for those who are watching, ECW, they're probably the best. Brotherhood took a hit with Jamal Giddens now being hurt.
Yeah.
A-Team, we'll see what they do. Greendale Human Beings, I think, will make its way up the ladder, but I think they are going to be between 2, 3, and 4. I think that's where their range is for this season. Would you agree?
It's a good take, but I don't see them. I see them under 4. I see them 5, 6, or 7.
So you're saying right now that so you're saying 5, 6, 7. Okay, so you're saying that ECW is better than them?
Oh, of course.
Brotherhood
from yeah.
A-Team,
Not quite sure.
Greendale Human Beings.
Yes.
Okay, what about Blue Chips and Mongoose?
I think it's gonna continue in what we're gonna talk later in the podcast. But I think Blue Chips is gonna bounce back.
Okay,
So
we'll,
I think
we'll,
Blue
get,
Chips
we'll get to them in our next question here. So you wow, you really think Mel's Angels isn't? They're more middle to lower division then.
Yeah, I think for now, but they only played one game, so there's still a lot of football to be played. And you were talking with Zach, it's a really long season, so it can switch. And by the end of coming down to end of March, April, they could very well be in the, like you said, in the top 4 of the group.
Right. More faith. Speaking of teams, Mongoose and Blue Chips.
Yep.
Who do you have more faith to come out of their 0-3 start and kind of get back into that playoff race?
It's got to be Blue Chips. I saw them play. They're good. They got some players. They got some youth. They got some experience. To me, they should bounce back, and they have to bounce back really quick. It has to be the next game. They have to get a win. Sanders Armand has to come out and be the leader of this team. I think they need someone with drive and that can guide them, because there's a lot of younger players, I think, that play tackle football that they brought in the team, but they also got some veterans on there. But I think he's got to take the charge, and Sanders, he's my teammate. So Sanders, if you're listening, go win this game, man.
Does he know your name?
Sanders doesn't know my name.
I didn't think so. I didn't think so.
I'm just a guy. I'm just guy.
Hey, Matt. No, it's Manu. Yeah. Whatever. Sure, whatever it is, you know. Look, I'll say this, right? If both teams go 0-4, they're in serious trouble.
Yeah, I know for sure.
Because
100%.
You got 6 games to make up 4 games to get 500, and then you have 2 more games to maybe get to above 500. So I think if they lose next game, they're in trouble. They're in trouble in that sense, right? So
we'll see, because they play Mel's Angels, so it's gonna
there
be
you go.
Good game.
That's a circle for you right there. You got to circle that game, Manu, right? And go from there how that plays out.
Right there.
Alexandre Farfal, he's right now the leading passer in Div 3 and the leading rusher right now in stats. Yep. Is he your early favorite to win quarterback of the year?
For sure. I was going right now. Of course, how can you say no? He's playing really well. I saw him playing in Brassard a few weeks ago. He's poised. He's calm in the pocket. He also has a great ability to run. This team, Beer Belly Brigade, they're really legit this season. Especially coming off a big win against Iggy and Kiss My In-Laws. I know
those are the best wins.
those are the best wins. I guarantee you. But it wasn't the full roster on KMI's hand, but it's still a really impressive victory. And I got to give it to the team, not just the quarterback, but the whole team. They found ways to get open while Fafal tries to buy time, and they are really successful as that. But I won't give QB of the year just yet, just because it's too early. But I look at the other quarterbacks. I look at Simon Blais. I look at Jeremy White. There's quarterbacks that are always there. Iggy, of course, and yeah. So I think it's going to be interesting how it pans out for the QB of the year race.
Yeah, I think Simon Blais played well. I think he's off to a good start. Jeremy White will be fine. I think what Fafal brings is that he's more mature at the quarterback position. Like he's not bailing on his leg. He's not bailing on his arm to run. Like he's now seeing it different. Like I always tell this to Iggy and Peasy, there are quarterbacks that can make passes and there's quarterbacks that can make throws. He's going from making passes to now making some throws and being more mature as a quarterback at this level.
No, I totally agree. You can see the progression throughout the years, and he's someone that has keep on playing every season. He's been there at least since I came in the league. Right. I always saw Beer Belly Brigade signing up so they keep building that momentum. The roster didn't change a lot, so it's the same guys. They're going to be scary this season.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. But on the flip side, are you surprised by the low receiving yards out of the gates for Div 3 for some of these pass catchers? Because we don't have anyone above 200 yards yet through 2, if not 3 games. And they're not many like eye-popping numbers that we normally see from this position group after a few weeks of play.
No, I feel like QBs in Div 3 spread out the ball a lot now. So you don't see a top receiver. I feel like Div 3 is not going to be the year of a star. You're going to see someone like who's going to have a lot of stats, but it's going to be spread out throughout. But you already have Olivier Claveau from Beer Belly Brigade, 7 touchdowns.
Yeah.
That's massive, man. In 3 games, that's a lot, man. So he's definitely up there. But I look at all the other guys, and man, there's some really, really, really great receivers in Div 3.
So you can see he's head and shoulders above the competition. Then
he's head and shoulders. Of course, I don't remember his hair, but I'd say he is.
we'll have the best. Put in the article next week or next couple weeks. The best hair in Div 3 is who? We'll have to survey that. We could do a survey for that, right? And we'll get. We'll get the crack team at FPF to put together a survey here for that. All right, Manu, last question for you.
Yeah.
By the time you come on to this show, whether it's with Iggy or I next week, the biggest headline of Div 3 will be what?
The biggest story would be Air Force One is 3-1 and already topped their previous winter season 2 wins. They only have 2 wins in 2023. So coming next week, they're going to be 3-1, beating Brotherhood, and it's going to be to me it's a big story because that was a team that was in the bottom of the rankings last season, and now they're coming out the gate strong with a little bit of a revamped roster. But Simon Blais is still playing amazing, and just he's got to get on this. The receivers got to get on the same page with him, and a couple mistakes that can be avoided. But if this team really plays at their full potential, they're going to go far.
Yeah, like I said, I think Simon Blais really he's stepped up really well. Like I mean, he's seen the field a lot clearer than before. I score kept I think now 3 of his games now. Anyway, I score kept a bunch of his games, and there's no angst in his processing ability. I think he's very cool, serene in the pocket, and I think that's gonna be key for him to grow as a quarterback. But we'll look at that headline coming up next week. That's the biggest headline if that's going to be 3-1 for them. Manu, what do you have lined up for Div 3 coming up this week for your article, my friend?
It's we're gonna find out because I really want to give a good article. So I'm still working. I haven't released one this week, but I'll be sure to bring you guys something to the readers, something to read for before next Saturday.
Excellent, Manu. I really appreciate it, brother. You were definitely head and shoulders above the competition today, my friend. And look forward to conversing with you or with Iggy whenever that might be. And look forward to reading your article in the next couple of days here, my friend.
Thank you, Mo. Always a pleasure talking flag with you. And have a great night and great rest of the show.
Always, brother. Take care, man.
See you, bro.
That's Manu Alarroy on with us to break down Div 3. Always a great guest to have on with us. Him and Jerome Homenton and Zachary Albergales. These are guys that are loyal to the FPF brand, that love the sport of the FPF. And the passion you see, right? They enjoy the insights that comes with it. And I certainly enjoy talking to these guys about the FPF world and the community that we have in this ecosystem of ours for the FPF here. Nightingale, do we have our next guest ready to roll with us? Excellent. This is a guy I don't like talking to. I talk to him like 10 times a day on the most minuscule stuff here. So I got to now end off the show with him. I wonder if dogs would come to play here. He's the host of the Thursday brand of CTA, which is like the smackdown to the Raw this Tuesday night brand of CTA. Iggy, what's going on, brother?
Hey Mo, how's it going? Good. I was able to catch the little last 2-3 minutes of you and Manu. Great stuff there.
Yeah, we give you a nice little shot there as well.
Yeah, I heard that.
Anyway, let's dive into 35 plus KTFL and 35 Legends, my friend. A lot to get to with these two divisions first and foremost, and we're through a couple of games in the KTFL situation. Brody Windsor, JMJ are all 2-0. Flag Plus on Rock are 0-2. I'm a bit surprised. I thought Flag Plus would be more of a. I thought they would have had one win by now than being 0-2.
I mean, maybe, but like I kind of commented last week on the episode, Brody Windsor and JMJ have the two best quarterbacks in the division, and when you have the best quarterbacks, that you're a notch above the other teams, just on plain paper, right? Not to say and disparage Jason Rossi's season, but the core around Jason Rossi for Flag Plus, it's just missing. It's missing. I'd say depth on the squad. There's Tony Lala, Vince Nardone, Kareem Yasmin that can do damage there. But other than that, they're missing, I think, speed, which some of the other teams have.
Yeah, I think a guy like Jason Rossi for Flag Plus, he's always been a notorious slow starter out of the gates, and then he picks it up midway through the season, and then that's when he puts on Jason Rossi like numbers. But you look at Brody Windsor, Sean Avram, Vinny Galano, Jada Reedy. I think already you have 3 Hall of Famers from the FPF world who are on one team for Brody Windsor. And I just think that that's a really good roster to have overall and how they played so far this season, Iggy.
Yeah, and of course, Sean and Vinny playing together with Backyard Bullies, right? So they're developing that chemistry on more than one team. So that already gives them, I think, an edge over some of the other teams. And then just Vinny playing and they're playing in Division 3, right? And seeing success. So I think defensively, that's going to help them a lot. Vinny's a very good defensive player where he's going to produce a lot of interceptions where a lot of other teams aren't.
Yeah, on Rock with our guys that we know very well. You think about Alex Lever, he's an old school guy. Chris Olson, we know very well. I think they find their way eventually. I think this is a team that, again, they have a lot of FPF experience, but I think it's a matter of clicking, and they have not found that tonic yet. I think they will eventually as they move along in the season.
I mean, they put up 30 in their first game and 36 in their second, losing by 1 point to JMJ. So I'm not too worried offensively. Chris Olsen's been doing, and Alex Lever, a combination of the two, have been doing a good enough job offensively. They're not putting up 10 to 12 points, right? So I'm not worried there. It's more defensively, right? They only have 2 interceptions in 2 games, and those coming from Chris Brockwell and Wayne Burke. I'm going to need guys like Tanner Burrell, David Weiss. I need more contributions for them, again, on the defensive side.
On to 35 plus legends here. Are you surprised Bearskins have scored less points than what they've given up through 2 games? 3 games, I beg your pardon.
Yes, that's like you tell me one of the teams that's going to put up points in mass. You'd think that'd be Bearskins, right? Right along pacemakers, and so definitely surprised that even just generally 57 points, even if they had given up 20, 57 in 3 games, you're putting up 20 points a game. That's definitely not going to give you a lot of wins, though. They're 2-1, so who can complain?
Yeah, it's weird though because they scrapped Everything Hurts by 26-0, and then they got destroyed by them the following week, 46-6. So are they like an anomaly, or are we saying okay, it was a glitch and they're okay and they'll figure it out the rest of the way?
Yeah, look, the glitch came in the form of the majority of the game being played with 5 players, so 6 against 5. Always those games are kind of weird. The team playing with 6, you're not as mentally focused. Obviously, the replacements, Everything Hurts were focused and determined to win that game. And then obviously when you're 5, you're just like, okay, well, what can I do? So those games are always a little tricky, even for both teams. But yeah, playing with 5 guys, I definitely understand why they only put up 6 points and let up 46.
Yeah, I don't think right now I know it's so early. Some teams play 30% of the schedule, but I don't think there's a definitive leader of the pack that's going to pull away and kind of run the table in this division.
I'm not so sure there is. I think you're right on that. Unless we're thinking pacemakers, right? With once again Jason Rossi and basically what's his Junkyard Dogs team, minus obviously some of the young guns that he's brought along in the past seasons. But Justin Anania, Wade Williams, Shane Williams, Yavar Ashrafi, and Chris Brockwell. That's a solid core to work with.
And Kenton Lowe.
And sure, maybe you know him more than I do. It's not a name that rings bell. But if there's a team that's, I think, gonna rise to the top, it would be pacemakers.
Yeah, I think this is a team that's gonna be giving Bearskins a good run for number 1. As you know, right, 4 make it out of the 5. And I think Team Ethnic Senior will kind of figure itself out. Everything Hurts, we'll see what they do in the coming weeks here. And Greyhawks, again, TBD, right? But I think Bearskins and Pacemakers are probably the kings of the manor when it comes to this division for 35 Legends.
Yeah, exactly. I'd say Greyhawks, Everything Hurts, and Team Ethnic Senior, they're just going to need to work out their kinks throughout the season as the weeks go by. Look for them maybe to make a late playoff push, and whoever's, one of those 3 teams, those bottom 3 teams that we just mentioned, if they get hot at the right time, they could potentially put a dent in Bearskins and Pacemakers' run for the final.
Right. On to women's, Iggy. Women's 1. I am surprised. I spoke to Laurie about this last week, and I thought it would be different this week. But it was a test that we circled Les Bleus against Brutes, and no competition. Les Bleus smoked them. So, is there a reason to be concerned if you are either the Vortex or Brutes at this point of the season?
I mean, that's kind of the trap that you fall into playing in the Fall Cup in the women's division, right? The Brutes and Vortex, kind of breeze their way through, not necessarily getting enough of the good, let's call it good reps or tougher repetitions, playing against some of the teams that are in women's 2 in the winter. So did they basically not really test themselves, and through no fault of their own, obviously, but they in my eyes didn't get the proper reps to really to put themselves on the same level as these other women's one teams, and therefore they're falling off the back foot here, right? So now that they've kind of got punched in the mouth here in the first 3 games, they now see the level that they need to play up to, and now's the point in the season where these two teams need to turn it around and be like, okay, this is how hard we have to run, how fast we have to make people miss after the catch. So I think they are now at that level, and the wins will trickle in here.
So given the spread of the schedule this year being spread out by like 85 million weeks in the regular season,
Tell me about it.
the Brits play Vortex back-to-back weeks to play this Sunday, Jan 28th, and then they don't play for almost full month on Feb 25th. So they almost have like a bye week of 5 weeks here. But the point is that they're both 0-3, and this 2-game set could really set the tone going towards March on who can get that last playoff spot or spots to be had at that point in the regular season.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So, I mean, what's your question? I mean, is it how are they going to come out?
I think the question is, if one of these teams lose both games, are they really in like deep trouble?
I mean, if we quickly look at the Brutes schedule, so let's say it's the Brutes that draw both games. You then have the 3-0 Sub-Zero
Back-to-back weeks.
Back to back, exactly. You then have Les Bleus, who just beat Brutes 34-13. Bleu Pou, who again week 1 they beat them 39-13, and then you end up with Bees, who beat them already 13-6. Right? So it's you can't go 0-2 against Vortex, and then if you look at Vortex's games after their back-to-backs with Brutes, they have Les Bleus in between. Obviously, very difficult. I mean, they're all difficult matchups, right? Then you have Bleu Pou, Sub-Zero, and Bees. It's, to me, Brut cannot afford to go 0-2 there. Playing Sub-Zero
it's
twice.
the order of the schedule you get these teams in. And unfortunately for both these teams, they don't have any easy games. There's no gimmies in this division. And it's sort of like, if you split, I think you're okay. If you win both, I think you're in great shape. But if you lose both, you're in trouble. Because I think Les Bleus will find its way up, because they played Sub-Zero week 1, and that's a tough game. And Sub-Zero is now perfect. But they had a tricky game against the Bees at Hebert on Monday. I was watching from afar. Bees gave them a little bit of a run. And the irony is that, Sarah Parker, who we know very well, knows the Bees very well. So it's sort of like they knew each other in a way of how they operate on both sides of the football. And I think Bees, I'm not saying they're going to be 8 wins here, Iggs, but I think they can definitely win 4 and maybe 5 wins and be a 4 or 5 seed going towards the playoffs.
And Bees were without their starting quarterback, I believe, in Sofia Presutti. I've seen her play. She's very, very talented. And this defense of Bees, the Concordia Bees, I was in shock of how good they are. They match up with some of the best, defensive teams out there. They don't discount them. And I mean, when have you recently seen Sarah Parker throw more interceptions than touchdowns, let alone 3 interceptions in a game? So I mean,
wasn't that the finals, co-ed finals from 2 years ago in Lachine?
No, it must have been 2. You're thinking maybe 3 years ago. That's how far back you have to go for that.
Right.
So that they accomplished something that not many teams have been able to do. Sarah Parker's been on fire for the past 2 years. And the Bees, made her look average.
Yeah, no, they definitely did. And I know it's early, we're only January, but whoever they get in the playoffs will not be an easy win for that team. Like, it's going to be tricky. And I'm surprised the Bees didn't call themselves the Queen Bees.
Yeah, that would have been nice. That would have been good.
We'll have to ask. We'll have to do an inquiry with one of the Bees. Maybe we'll get them on the show in the coming weeks here.
Let's do it,
yeah. Sub-Zero, they're the Queens of the Manor right now, 3-0. They're not running away with the division yet, but it could line up for them to do so in the coming weeks here. Again, 3-0. They took out the Bees. They have taken out Vortex, and they took out Les Bleus. They get Blue Pool coming up on Feb 5th, so that's in about 10, 12 days, a little bit less than 2 weeks. And they get Blue Pool back-to-back weeks. If they overcome those 2 games and be 5-0, are we anointing them as maybe the favorites to win the number 1 spot?
Yes, if they come out victorious over Bleu Pou, both of those games, that's where maybe they could get a split. Bleu Pou can put a dent in their undefeated season. If not, Sub-Zero is going 10-0.
Yeah, that's probably the last 2 hurdles for them in that division. So I think it's early, but I think they have a really good shot to go undefeated because they're literally freezing the competition.
Yeah,
you like playing words on that, Iggs?
Yeah, I got it.
Well, I know sometimes it
I
just
see
goes
you,
right
Mo.
by you.
No. Let's no. We're not doing this. Let's call up Pease and say mention how many times the things he said went by your head.
Yeah, but PZ's not been part of the show since like May of last year. Or was it spring season? I don't know. Anyway, it is what it is. Women's 2. On to that. We got a few teams of 2-0. There's actually now 6 teams at 2 wins or better, or 1 loss, 2-1, if not 2-0. I'm looking at the bottom half of this division right now. I think Red Nation will figure itself out and they'll find a way back up the ladder. But I look at the Petite Miette, X and X, they're 1-2. I'm a bit surprised by that. But Pink Panthers, Cheetahs, I don't know. Can they kind of find their way out of this muck and get themselves into that green side of the bracket?
That's going to be tough because I will get to Cheetahs and Pink Panthers in a second. But you mentioned Le Petit Miette and X being at 1-2. I mean, I saw their competition that they were playing against Patriote of Saint Laurent, I believe, and Le Hibou number 2. Because there's maybe they'll be on my show, part 2 of Calling the Audible. My God, these teams and even Les Trapas, they are solid, very fundamentally sound flag football teams, and so I'm not surprised that X and Le Petit Miette or more like casual flag football players that they're sitting at 1-2. So that does not bode well for Cheetahs and or Pink Panthers, because in their first game for Cheetahs, they had a tight one, 14-19 against Les Louvres, who are they're gonna be in the bottom 7 teams, and then lose to Kiss My Boots 26-13, which is pretty respectable actually, given how Kiss My Boots are a collection of well-known flag players in the women's division. And then you look at Pink Panthers losing 47-0 against Fit Squad and 27-8 over Trapa. So I mean, those were and Fit Squad in their first game with Frédéric Chevalier throwing, I believe it is. They had a tighter game. So for them to really put 47 and shut them out, Pink Panthers, I feel like they're gonna have a tough time. And just look at their next 3 games: Carababes, Hibou, and Linkset.
Yeah,
that's
right,
rough.
Man.
Yeah,
that's death row. It's not. It's gonna be tough, man. Like I look at Carababes, they are unreal. They are the best team in this division, I think, right now.
It's yes, they're 2-0, but that first game against Kiss My Boots, again, a collage of different players that haven't played together, especially with their quarterback, Marie-Ève Girard. They were 1 play away from 2 yards out from beating Carababes, a team that hadn't gelled and had not yet built chemistry. And Kiss My Boots since have now won 2 in a row. I'm not saying Kiss My Boots is the best team, but I'm just saying that Carababes have competitors out there. So I'm not ready to claim Carababes as the best just yet.
Well, look, Hibou plays Kiss My Boots this weekend on the 27th of January, and they get Red Nation in a month's time. So this is their last game for a while. So you kind of want to go into your month-long vacation bye week month here on a win, because once you come back, you get Red Nation off the jump, and that's 2 very tough games that they have to kind of navigate Kiss My Boots and them trying to be a contender or a top tier team in their division.
Yeah, I mean, agreed. Yeah.
All right, then, Iggs, to wrap it up here, a lot to look forward to. We'll definitely have on some let us know. Hey, if you want to be part of the show and be a guest, doesn't matter who you are, come on and let's talk to you about your team or what you know about the league and the growth of women's football, especially flag football, which will be an Olympic sport in 2028 in LA. Let us know. Drop us a line. Let us know. We'll love to have you on, whether it's with yours truly or with Iggy on the Thursday edition of CTA.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, Mo, I get the notifications for how much traffic the Instagram posts get, and the women's collage with different interviews from different female players hit 4,000 views faster than any other story I've ever seen, or you know, it wasn't a story, but a post that it's incredible how much the women's division is such a huge community, even outside of FPF, right? So they definitely are contributing in a huge way to FPF success.
Not to go off base here, but I told our guy Chris Vega, Chris, do more female content for FPF because we'll get more traffic with that.
Absolutely, it's 100% true. Yeah,
absolutely. All right, Iggs, thanks so much, brother. As always, thanks to all of our guests that were on with us today. We had on Jerome Hovington, who was not on 5G, he was on 3G Wi-Fi for a reason. That's what we learned about Jerome Hovington. Thank you to Zachary Alberts-Gills, who doesn't remember which quarterback he sacked the most, but he has a number in his head. Manu Alaroy, who might have a Head and Shoulders commercial by the end of the day. And, of course, you, Iggy. CTA Thursday, what do we have lined up for Thursday, my friend?
All the divisions you didn't cover. So we'll have, once again, the ever-popular Dan Lazara talking Division 1. We'll have Raf Morelli joining us for Division 2, the writer for Division 1 and 2. We'll have Brent Bodkin on with us for Division 6. And I believe, is that the only divisions you left me there, Mo?
Go ahead, no?
And co-ed, yes, exactly. Lori Willette will be joining us to talk co-ed 1 and 2. And
just because you got one text saying how popular the Lazar segment was does not mean he's popular.
Okay, Mo. Okay.
I'm just saying. You know me, bro. You know that. He's gonna have a big head. No, bro. It's the hottest thing, bro. You probably think he's Tony Romo moving forward here. You know.
You know what I'm gonna do just quickly before we sign off here. I'm going to see how many views your part 1 got and how many views my part 2 got of episode 2. So Mo,
we can play that card if you want, because I can go pump it on all my social media platforms and I can blow this out to the water if you want.
Look, you got 2 extra days on me. So you did have more views. You had 360 views on your episode, 256 on mine.
Yeah,
so you're right.
We know what's up, man. Because we're the Monday Night Raw of CTA, and you're the Thursday Night SmackDown. That's what you guys are.
So I'm the Thursday nighter. I get all the shitty games.
Exactly. Tuesday is the most important TV night on the window of TV shows.
Yes,
Thursday's important. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are the most important days.
You keep forgetting. You keep forgetting. These get posted on Wednesday during 9 a.m.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
So what?
Right.
Anyway, thanks to all of our guests that joined on with us. Don't forget to send us your likes and dislikes. Facebook, FPF, Instagram as well, Flag Plus. Reach out to us at Moco19, Iggy Mags. Iggy Mags, no? I forget. I always lose
Iggy Mans,
whatever, man. Like, what people have? I felt like 1,000 plus, man. Okay, don't blame me. Anyway, give us a like, follow. CTA again. Like we're it's a new format we're doing right now with the remote away from the studio, but we will improve the product as we move along here, and we want to get everyone involved. So please let us know if you want to be involved, whichever division it is, and look forward to having you on. Nightingale, thank you so much, my dude, for your job well done behind the scenes, and we'll see you next week. Magic words, please, Iggy.
It's Zachary Alberts Gill, not Albert Gills. You're pluralizing all the wrong things.
That's what I do best, my friend. Good night, Zachary Alberts Gill. Put the place up.